who's actually going to get the most out of a flagship drone like the DJI Mavic 4 Pro? Is it the weekend explorer who just wants a few smooth aerial shots, the content creator who needs reliable 6K footage for client work, or the casual buyer who thinks a fancy camera drone is a fun add-on but might end up spending more time figuring it out than flying? And, of course, does the price make sense for someone who isn't running a full-time production house? Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. If you've ever tried to capture a sunrise from a cliff or follow a surfer's wave lineup, you know how frustrating it can be when the drone's camera can't lock focus fast enough, or when the gimbal jitters just enough to ruin a perfect shot. The Mavic 4 Pro promises to solve those headaches with a 100MP 4/3 type Hasselblad sensor, 6K per 60 frames per second HDR video, and an infinity gimbal that spins a full 360 degrees. Those numbers sound impressive, but the real test is whether they translate into a smoother workflow when you're out in the field, not just on a spec sheet. Let's start with ease of use. DJI has spent the last decade tightening the gap between professional rigs and consumer-friendly controls, and the Mavic 4 Pro is a prime example. The new DJI RC2 remote feels like a small tablet, but it runs the updated DJI Fly app directly on the screen, which means you don't need to pair a phone or worry about compatibility issues. The menu layout is clean, most of the heavy lifting like setting exposure brackets, toggling HDR, or switching between photo and video modes can be done with a single tap, and the app remembers your last settings, cutting down on the wait, "What did I set last time?" moments that can ruin a time-critical shot. Autofocus confidence is where the Hasselblad sensor really shines. In my tests over a city park at midday, the focus locked in under a second on moving subjects, whether it was a cyclist weaving through trees or a group of kids playing soccer. The sensor's large pixel size helps it stay accurate even when the lighting drops to around 0.1 lux, which is roughly the level of a dimly lit street at night. That low-light capability isn't just marketing fluff. It allowed me to capture clean, color-accurate footage of a firework display without the usual grain that plagues smaller drones. Stabilization, however, is where the Mavic 4 Pro earns its cinematic badge. The infinity gimbal's 360-degree rotation eliminates the need for a separate swivel mount when you want to do a full aerial roll or a smooth pivot around a subject. In practice, I flew a tight orbit around a historic building while the sun set behind it. The footage stayed rocksteady, and the transition from day to night exposure was seamless thanks to the HDR pipeline. For creators who need that kind of buttery smooth movement for client reels or travel vlogs, the gimbal really feels like a game changer. Battery confidence is another practical concern. The Mavic 4 Pro ships with two high-capacity batteries, each promising roughly 40 minutes of flight under ideal conditions. Real-world numbers are a bit lower, about 32 minutes when you're pushing the 6K video mode, but the extra battery gives you a safe margin for longer shoots. The drone also has an improved battery low warning system that alerts you well before you're forced into an emergency landing, which is a relief for anyone who's ever watched a pricey piece of kit plummet into a lake because they ignored a latest-stage beeping. Now, who should actually consider spending on this bundle? If you're a professional photographer or videographer who already uses Hasselblad lenses on a ground-based camera, the Mavic 4 Pro's sensor and color science will feel like a natural extension of your workflow. The 6K video at 60 frames per second means you can pull 4K slow-motion clips without the pixel stretching you get from a 4K drone. The included Deco gear kit, extra propellers, a carrying case, and a set of ND filters makes the package feel ready for a day trip shoot without buying accessories separately. On the hobbyist side, the Mavic 4 Pro is still approachable, but the price point might give you pause. Beginners who are just learning the basics of drone piloting may find the advanced obstacle sensing system a safety net, yet they also might not fully leverage the high-resolution sensor. If your primary goal is to capture casual family gatherings from the backyard, a lower-tier model like the Mavic 3 Classic could deliver ample quality for a fraction of the cost. The Mavic 4 Pro's strength is really in scenarios where you need that extra pixel count and dynamic range. Think real estate flythroughs, high-end travel documentaries, or product showcase reels where every detail matters. Practical weaknesses are worth mentioning. The first is weight. At just under 1 kilogram, the Mavic 4 Pro still requires you to register it with the FAA, or your local aviation authority, if you're in a region with a 250-gram threshold. That adds a bit of paperwork for casual users who didn't expect it. Second, the DJI Fly app, while streamlined, can feel a bit locked in if you're used to third-party flight planning software. The lack